Musiala. Musiala, boys, today is linked to Manchester City. Now, no time frame has been given, and it feels like a deal they might try and pursue next year. We all know how good he is, but I wanted to ask you a question. Should they try and pursue him this year and sell KDB now to make the space and the room for him? Because I don't believe with all the other players they've got, they could sign Musiala and get the...
Well, let me go first on this one.
And do you think they should do that now, as opposed to leaving it a year where he might decide to stay at Bayern Munich? They might be balling out. They might be winning again. Or another club improves in the next 12 months and gets ahead of Man City in this race. I feel like they're the best suited club in the world for him right now in terms of the position that club's in financially, the position they are in football. Should City strike now while the iron is hot?
All right, I want to go first on this one, please. Manchester City should, in fact, try to sell KDB right now. So I agree with that part of the question. Should Manchester City sell Kevin De Bruyne right now? Yes. Manchester City have been known to be a club that don't really wait for players to get washed before they move on and replace them. We've seen that for so many examples. Rarely do you see a player really decline in this City team and under Pep in recent years. Maybe most notably was Fernandinho. His legs was kind of gone, but we understand why he stayed there for a bit longer. Other than that, I don't really find a lot of examples, you know? KDB's legs has been gone for a couple seasons now. Yes, he's still a very good footballer. We've seen the impact he had last season, but we also seen how long he's been injured for. And we also seen Phil Foden step in and do the job that KDB would have done. Obviously, he's a different player, but he stepped in, as I'm saying, to carry that midfield somewhat. And that's why he ended up being player of the season. Phil Foden showed us last season that Man City are ready to move on from KDB. Now, am I saying KDB is washed? No. Is he on that end of almost being washed? Yeah, because once you decline physically, it's just what can you do about that? You decline physically, you become injury prone. There's nothing more you could do. You could be a good footballer, but you physically be gone. Now, Musiala, they should 100% try and get Musiala. We've seen the Euros that he had. Should Musiala go to Manchester City? Absolutely not. But when you look at how Musiala played in the Euros and how he got in team of the tournament, does anyone remember what position he got in for? They put him in as a striker. Musiala did not play as a striker during the Euros. What is the point of me mentioning that? It just shows you how good Musiala was playing in that final third. That's all it was. He was a final third player. That was his position. He drifted to the left, he drifted to the right, and he played central a lot. And that's why they had Havertz there, because he was able to complement his movements. When you go to Man City, it's and before people tell me, oh, but they've been the most successful. Yes, I know. But they've been known to be working on their Pep, I should say. It's been known that you kind of have limitations to what you're allowed to do. You kind of have limitations to how much you can express yourself. We've seen it with Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish was someone who never had GA, but everyone rated at Aston Villa because all we saw from him is him carrying that ball in his midfield, taking it anywhere he wants in the final third, which is sticking to the left or cutting into the middle, whatever it is, and everyone rated him. You go to Man City, you got to stick to that wing. And that's why everyone says he's a $100 million flop, or £100 million flop, I should say. Musiala will suffer from the same thing. We have seen players for years trying to get out of that City system because, you know what? They are winning, but some of them are too good to just being playing with limitations. Shackles FC, as Twisted Bubba says. Yes, I always say that Pep is the best lion tamer in the world. He gets a lion, a wild lion, but he knows how to tame him. And that lion is no longer wild. He has no more of his natural instincts. And I've seen that so many times under Pep. It does win them trophies. It does work for them. But look at Bernardo for a few years now, been trying to get out of that system. You see Bernardo balling out sometimes with Portugal. He goes to City, he's limited to other things. So Musiala, absolutely generational talent. Do I want to see him go to City? Not necessarily because I don't like City, but do I want to see him playing football in City where he's restricted to one position only, and he's not able to do things that I've seen him do for Bayern and his country and all that? Absolutely not. I know people will take this as hate. It's really not hate. It's just me trying to have a little bit more of like, I like how football was outside of systems. And this guy is not a system player. And the last thing I would want to see is such a talented footballer like him in a restricted system won't allow him to do what he was already doing. That's just my honest opinion on it.
Great breakdown. Lawless, how about yourself? I mean, KDB, one of the greatest mid players in City's history, one of the best in Premier League history. But should they strike now, City? Should they make a big money offer now or leave it another 12 months? What's your thoughts?
No, I think it's always, if you can, if the money's there, get the player now. Because like you said, a lot can change in 12 months. Now, if that means they have to sell De Bruyne, yeah, it's not ideal. Ideally, there'd be a transitional period, but finances are going to be tricky. If there's some way they could do a deal like Liverpool have done in the past, I think it was like last one, it was like Canate, where they would sign a player and then get them next season. So I don't know if you go, right, we'll put this deposit down. He stays at Bayern for the season. De Bruyne has one last season, just so, there's not too much change because they want to go and defend that title. And then Musiala comes in next season where they're prepared and can prep. We still don't know what Pep's doing, what Pep's situation is as well going into the following season. So if there's some way they can guarantee that they get him next season rather than this season, then I would go for that if there's some sort of agreement. Otherwise, if not, then just get him now just because you don't know what can happen in 12 months. And it's clearly a talented player, and any manager that does come in and follow Pep would be, buzzing to have him.
Yeah, but what happens when De Bruyne has another season like the one that he's had and he's out again for a few months with injury? Don't you see that? You don't think he's just getting there now, Lawless? You don't see that like physically he's just getting washed?
Yeah,
Why give him another year and have no value?
Question.
I wouldn't say no value, but much lesser value when you sell him next year instead of replacing him with someone in his prime right now, or entering his prime, I should say.
I mean, he's still young. Was he like early 20s? Still young, like 21. So I think it'd be a lot to expect him to come in and be De Bruyne's replacement, like to have that responsibility of being the man, whereas De Bruyne, yeah, look, I hear it. He has had a few injuries, but he was still, when he did play, vital. Without De Bruyne, Man City don't win that league. Even the games, because the games he did play, he was that crucial. So yeah, ideally for them, like I said, if he can stay at Bayern, I think, and just mature a little bit more, that would be great. But I hear you. Like if you can have a player that's going to be almost guaranteed to be fit for all 30 games and have an impact, that's great. But it's still a big ask, I think, for him to come in and just take De Bruyne's place, like already at like 21 years old.
See, I get that point. My view on it is, though, I agree with Staffy 100%. KDB is starting to fade physically. What you don't want to risk is a rapid fade, and that impacts your ability to win the major trophies this season. He could have a very good season this year, an amazing swan song. They do the 5-peat, they get the Champions League, and then he leaves. But I was watching him at the Euros, I was watching him at times last year, and when he was coming on from the bench, he was looking dangerous. And was he as impactful when he was starting games? He was very good because he's one of the best ever in the Premier League, but he wasn't the same KDB. I look at the Musiala thing as well, and it isn't just about replacing KDB at the right time. It's right. City are the only team right now that could get Musiala, in my opinion. What it would cost to buy and his wages, I don't see anybody else, and the position he plays, anybody else being able to buy him. But let's just say Man United have a brilliant season. Let's just say Chelsea have an amazing year this campaign. Let's say Liverpool do well and, raise some money with Salah leaving as an example. We could find ourselves in, well, not we, City could find themselves in a situation in 12 months' time where there are more suitors potentially for Musiala. In fact, he could change his mind about a new deal at Bayern because, wow, look how brilliant they are under Vincent Kompany. So I do believe, and people will laugh and say, well, United won't be up there. I'm using it as a hypothetical. You never know how good a team's going to be in 12 months. And if Man United this year improve and finish third, but look amazing, and we're in the Champions League, you could sell it to a Musiala. Of course you could.
We'll probably try to replace Bruno next season. So that could be.
And that's exactly it. So I sort of look at this situation and think, right now you've almost got a free run at him. You've got Saudi teams that are willing to pay good money for KDB. And I think if you tell KDB, bro, we're going to replace you now, I think he would willingly go, use all that money to pay whatever is necessary to bring in Musiala. And I agree with you, Lawless. I don't think Musiala will come in season 1 and be as good as peak KDB. That's going to take him a few years to get to.
He probably won't be good as peak Musiala, like how good he's been, because we know players have to adapt to Pep's system.
Maybe that is true. But I just thought about it when I saw the news, and I was like, maybe they've got to act now. Now, City are still going to be in an amazing position next summer to sign him, 100%. But it's just a case of sometimes I feel like you've got to look at the situation and say, well, right now, we're pretty much the only ones that have got the money, the potential space in the squad, and the project that would attract him and bring him in. And who knows? There's talk Pep might leave. And I'm not saying they won't have Paul without Pep. Of course they will. City have made themselves a powerhouse. But who knows the situation at City in 12 months' time? Maybe it's a case of get him in now while you're 100% still the powerhouse you are today. So I don't know. I think they should look at it. I think there's multiple layers. But if I was a City fan, it would be with a heavy heart. But I would say sell KDB, bring in Musiala now, and secure that position, secure that for the next 5, 6, 7 years, and don't take any risk with anybody else being able to get that individual. And we know that things can change that quickly in football. We know they can, in terms of a team emerging, a team growing, a team becoming better. And we all have an opinion on who it will or won't be, but none of us ever really know. So let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel, people, in the comments section. Should Man City cash in on KDB and go after Musiala? Give us your thoughts. Give us your feelings in the comments section below.